No, you're literate.
I am literate. It's crazy.
I
But
almost said you're illiterate.
I learned it from watching movie captions. Today, we do have a guest. You haven't been on the podcast yet, right?
Nope.
So she hasn't.
I have not.
It's another one of my cousins. She is related to the two other cousins. So this is Annabelle. Say hi. Or this one. I don't know what side of the screen she's gonna be on. So we are doing a top 10, and we're thinking of a top 10 that we both had in common. And I know I talk a lot about like movies and video games and stuff on here, but I just want to let you guys know that I do know how to read. So we're gonna
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I know it's a shocker, but we're gonna do our top 10 books of all time. Just so you guys don't think I'm a complete intellectual, there is a comic book on here, but most of them are not that. So,
all of mine are novels, so like
novels.
fiction books.
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah, I would never put a nonfiction book on any list.
I wouldn't. Yeah, and I wouldn't read a nonfiction book unless I have to.
Exactly. Same here. I mean, like
I read.
some Christian books.
Oh yeah.
But not like.
I've read a couple.
Yeah. Okay.
But you don't read those for.
Yeah. Since I am a kind and generous host, I will let you go first. You'll just start at 10 and work your way up.
Oh, okay. It was very hard to think of 10 books.
Yep. Yes.
So this book I absolutely hated.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just put it at the end, even though if I could think of more books, it would be in the trash. Like it wouldn't even be on this list.
Alrighty then. Good start.
It's called One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I recommend that nobody ever reads this book. It's like a magical romance sort of. Like it's not like it could be like it's mostly fiction, but there's like small aspects of magic in it. Like she goes back in the past. But, and she doesn't even know it. But I hate it. It was written really bad, and she cheated on her husband, which is the main reason why I hate this book.
Yeah,
and I wish I never read it. Like I literally on the inside of the book I wrote, "Do not read."
Nice. Oh, nice. That's very proactive.
You know how much I hate that book.
I love it. So this is like a dishonorable number 10.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Because I didn't really get into reading till this year, so
yeah.
Like,
no, that's
really
valid. That's completely valid.
So, I couldn't think of very many.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 10, I kind of pulled this one from the back of my brain because I was looking at my like Goodreads profiles and I have like a section called favorites, and so I was like, oh, that'll be easy. It was actually a little hard to sort through because that was just like there was a very wide selection of what I like deemed as favorites. There were like I think there was some Bad Kitty books in there, so it was I had to filter a little bit. But this one is kind of a childhood book that I think I could still read today, and it would be great. But it's a book that I don't own it, so I don't have a visual copy. But it is called Flora and Ulysses, and I'm pretty sure it's by Kate DiCamillo. It's about a girl named Flora, and her mom or somebody buys a new vacuum in her like neighborhood, and it sucks up a squirrel, and the squirrel almost dies, but it gets shot out and it gets superpowers. So that's basically the whole point of the book. There is a girl named Flora who's like really cynical and doesn't believe in anything and is very mad at the world, and a superpowered squirrel, and the squirrel kind of helps her family heal from all of their trauma. So it's pretty interesting. I would definitely recommend it.
Fun.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun. It is a little bit weird, but like it's actually a really good story because like aside from like the super powered squirrels, it's like Flora is like from like a divorced family, and the whole like squirrel thing actually helps get her family back together and not be super dysfunctional in a weird way. So it's actually a really nice story. I can't remember who recommended this to me. I feel like most of these are going to be because of my dad. This is the only one. Like, I'm pretty sure my dad does not like this one. Because, like, he said something about the dad in this book is weak, and he kind of is, but also his wife is, like, a terrible person, so, you know.
Yeah.
But I really like it. It's a lot of fun, and it is actually a genuinely good story. It's not all superpowered squirrels. So, yeah, number 10.
Our number 10s were very different.
A little bit, just a little bit.
I absolutely hated mine. Yours just wasn't good enough to be better,
Right.
to be higher.
Right.
Mine was just something that I wanted to make sure nobody ever reads.
And that's a noble mission, I guess.
Yes. I was mad that I read it, so.
Yeah. Been there.
But the most I hated it was like 200 pages in, so I just finished it, and then I was just like,
yeah,
chuck it at the fire.
Right. All right. So what's your number 9?
Okay, so actually, this book is a book that I have not finished reading. I'm in the middle of it, and it's called "You've Reached Sam" by Dustin Thou. I don't know how to say that. Whatever.
Okay.
But I'm like, let's see, 75 pages into it, and the reason why it's so low is just because I haven't obviously finished it yet.
Yeah.
And so far I like it. I just can't put it higher when I haven't even finished it. But I really like it so far. So it's a library book, so I have to finish this.
Yeah. What is it? What is it about?
But it's about this girl and her and her boyfriend, and her boyfriend dies. That's in the prologue. That's just a known thing. That's not a spoiler alert, even though no one's probably going to read this. But he dies, and they're like seniors in high school, I think. And she's just like grieving and stuff. She doesn't go to any his funeral, nothing for his family. She just like shuts herself off from everybody.
Yeah.
And then one night she's like going crazy because she had to run away from her mom because she just wanted to get away from people. And she ended up in the woods, and she's just like at rock bottom. And so she called his phone just to hear his voicemail because she wanted to hear his voice. And he answers.
Like, okay. Oh.
So he's dead, and they're talking on the phone. So right now it's just about them talking and having conversations, her trying to figure out how it's happening.
Yeah.
So
that sounds interesting.
It's supposed to be a very sad book. Like I saw a review that said it's guaranteed to make you cry. I haven't cried yet, but I've liked it so far, and I'm excited to finish it.
Okay, cool. Sounds very interesting. I feel like I've heard of something like that, but it's not the same name, so I don't know. Might just be same concept. Okay. Next on my list, my number 9. So I have quite a few books that are books in a series on my list, and it was a little bit hard to decide which book of the series I would pick. But for this one, it wasn't that hard. But at number 9, I have a book called, and I wrote this the wrong way, but I know what it's called. It's just wrong on my list in front of me. But it's this book, and this book is called Nevermore: The Trials of Morgan Crow. There's a sequel, and I accidentally wrote the sequel's name, but I meant this one. This is the first book in the series. Highly recommend it if you like fantasy. If you like Harry Potter, this is pretty straight shot. You'll like this. So this series is just about a girl named Morgan Crow, and she's basically like cursed to die on her 13th birthday, I think. It's been a minute since I've read this. But then before she dies, she gets like transported into this world where apparently she's supposed to be, and she learns, about that she learns a lot of stuff, and there's like magic, and she learns that she's this thing called a wondersmith, and she's like part of a prophecy and everything. So it's pretty much classic fantasy book, but it is really fun. Oh, it's her 11th birthday. Sorry, I just read that in the back. But it's really, really fun. Morrigan is a really interesting character. She's like she's like if a child was goth. She's like a goth child, which is not completely goth, but like as goth as a child could be. So she's interesting. Tons of
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think this was recommended to me by a friend, and we had it in our library, so I went and got it and tried it out, and it's really cool. Her like basically dad Jupiter is really cool. He's really wacky and goofy, and there's like a giant cat named Finestra, so that's a bonus for me. And each book in the series was like it has, it's stayed a good series for the most part. And I haven't been able to get my hands on the fourth one, but I hope to soon. So yeah, it's called.
Yeah, I have a.
You probably wouldn't be able to look this up by Nevermore because each of them have different titles, but just like Morgan Crow, if you just look up that, this will. I don't think there's anything else called that. So.
Yeah, I have 2 books from a series, the same series, but that's all the series I have.
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, moving on to our number 8.
Okay, this is a book that I like. This book. I would have put it higher if I hadn't have been forced to read it for school. Like when I went to Hatley, like we read it in class, and I'm just like sitting there like I want to go home.
Yeah.
But if I was reading on my own, I would have liked it better. And it's The Outsiders.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of that. Explain.
By S.E. Hinton. It's about this kid named I don't think this is his actual name, but they call him Pony Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a greaser. I don't know where they live. I don't know. But it's about him and the guy, his brother, and like the guys who are greasers with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like another group of people called the Stoches. And at school we call them the Socks. And they like have a big rivalry. The Stoches are the rich people.
Mm-hmm.
And the greasers are like the poor ones, and they don't get along.
Yeah.
And stuff happens. They have to. I don't know what to say. This is spoiler or not, but
yeah,
I really liked it. I just would have liked it better if I didn't have to read it for school.
Yeah, I think I think I've heard it because it's like a movie. I think it has like Tom Cruise.
It is a movie.
Is it like Tom Cruise?
Yes, it is a movie.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a picture of that. So I haven't read it though, but it looks interesting for sure. It sounds interesting.
It really is. It's sad and fun.
That's good. Cool. I might have to check that one out. The movie looks really interesting, but that's mostly just because like Tom Cruise and Rob Lowe are like so young, and it's really weird. But
oh yeah, he is very young in that movie.
Yeah. All right.
It's a good movie. It's pretty accurate to the book.
Oh really? Well, that's good. That's always a bonus.
There's another book I have in my list that has a movie, but it was like the worst movie I've literally ever seen based on a book.
Yeah.
So
they will do that too. Speaking of bad movies based on books, at number 8, I have the book Artemis Fowl. I feel like this one my dad would be mad that I put it so low actually. But it's not that like it's literally nothing wrong with this book. It's just the other books I like better. But this was another one in a series, and it's been a really long time since I've reread the series. but I know how much they loved it, and like to pick a book, which one to put on the list, I figure like why not pick the one that made me like the series in the first place. So we went with the first one. And it is a really great book series. It's very interesting. It's a little more dark and not like I don't want to say adult because that implies things that are not in the book, but
It's like mature
yeah, it's more mature, more darker tones
topics.
than you would expect from like a fantasy book, especially one that kind of looks like this. It talks about fairies, but it's really cool. It's like action adventure. Holly Short is one of my favorite characters in literature in general. She's very cool, and she's like small, so I can relate. And it's really great. It's about a boy who discovers that he's a millionaire. He's evil. He wants to be a criminal, and he discovers that fairies exist, and he wants to like uncover them and steal their stuff because he's evil. But along the way, stuff happens, and you should read it. You should read the entire series. I still haven't finished the series because I can't find the rest of the series, and I want to like reread the rest of the series before I finish the last book so I can make sure I know everything that's happening, you know? So, but there was a movie made of this book, and like, I just, the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, I didn't love that, but I'm not angry about it. But every time I think about it, I just get a little bit more angry because it's like, that was really not the book. That was really, like, it was it was very different and not in like a good way, just like for no reason. So, but the book is still great.
Yeah,
So,
I hate it when they do that.
yeah, not anything cool different.
There's
Just
no
like
point.
yeah, just let's be different because we know that makes fans upset. I guess, but the book's still great. Don't watch the movie.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah, don't watch the movie. Read the book. It's great. The whole series stays great. They don't like add anything. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's an old series, but like it's not super recent, so you don't have to worry about like adding in stupid stuff. So
Yeah.
all right,
We all know about books that add that stuff.
that stuff. All right, moving on to number 7. Is that? Are you?
That's not on my list. I was just showing you what I thought of that one.
Like, wait, what?
That would never be on my list. I didn't even read it.
Yeah. Oh, you were just demonstrating. Okay, I understand now.
Yes.
I was worried.
Because you said that.
Yeah.
That made me think of that.
Yeah.
And this is what, number 8?
7.
7.
Yep.
Oh yeah, right.
Mhm.
This is 7 is Black Beauty.
Hey, I've read that one.
I read this. Yeah, I read this a long time ago. Like I don't even remember when I read it. I just remember really loving it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the exact version I read too.
I remember. It's just like it's 7 because it's been so long since I read it.
Yep.
I just remember that I really liked it.
Mhm.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was kind of sad too, right? Like there was something about like I don't remember a lot about it too because I was really young when I read it as well. And I just remember like I think I read it because I was like, oh, I've heard this name before, and it's a horse, so let's see what's happening. But it's like it's pretty dark. It's like I think because it's like it shows how like the horses getting mistreated, and like the one thing I like very clearly remember about that book is like one of the horses like going and like somehow like died, and it was like and I feel like I feel like I remember when it like that horse died, the main horse was like looking at the horse that died and was like, oh, she finally looks happy. I was like, oh my gosh, like what are you doing to horses, man? But it was really
is told from the horse's perspective.
Yeah. So
or the horse's point of view.
Yeah.
It's the horse is I guess
dude, right?
The back of the book says I don't know. Its name is Black Beauty, so that's not really telling too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I remember it being sad, but also
Yeah.
good.
Do you remember if it has a happy ending? Because I don't.
I'm not sure. I'm gonna read it. What?
Some of those old books just like they're good and happy in some parts, and then they're like really sad in other parts. But the sad is what they end with. So
It looks like it has a happy ending. I don't know. I can't
well, that's
tell.
good.
It's been a
Horses
long time.
die. All right. So my number 7 is a book I've actually really recently read, recommended by my dad. Almost everything from here on out is recommended by my dad, but this one super recent. Told me to read it. I took way too long reading it. Like I started reading it, and then I got a little bit of ways in, and then I stopped, and then I waited a really long time, and then when I picked it back up again, I like read it all in like a week because it got really good and really interesting. So my number 7, right? Yes, number 7
Yeah.
is called Momentous Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling. Um, so the title doesn't really have anything to do with anything in the book. It's just random and it sounds funny. So what it's actually about is about this girl, this armless girl named Avon, who's just like going through high school basically. It's a pretty straightforward high school story, but it's not like super tropey and like romance and breakup and like sports ball dude and blah 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 because it's about like Avon and her friends and her like having to go through stuff, like bullying and stuff because she has no arms, but like it's really cool because one it talks about how superheroes are cool and Avon likes superheroes and her best friend likes superheroes and so it proves that superheroes are cool and two it proves that high school boys are idiots and jerks. So I just think that's important
true.
to know. I think that's a very important
That's valid.
message. And accept your best friend who's a guy is the only one you can trust, the one who is not interested in you romantically. You can trust that one. But any other guys just like they're dumb and they're mean. So
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
yeah, it is very interesting. I would highly recommend it. It's the way it's written is also very engaging. It's written from Avon's point of view, and she has a very likable like tone to her voice. She seems like a very chill kid, you know. She's not like super dramatic. She's like pretty chill about everything, but also like when stuff gets emotional, she still is like you can see her personality, but it's like uh it doesn't change the tone completely. So it's really good all the way through. And I would highly recommend it to anybody. And like this is coming from somebody who does not read realistic fiction a lot. I'm not a big fan of realistic fiction. Um, it's mostly fantasy and stuff. But every now and then one will come along and it won't be about romance tropes and drama. So this one this one is great. I would highly recommend it.
I think only one or two of the books on this are no, four are literary fiction.
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of books on my TBR and like every single one of them is
Yep.
like it's fantasy.
Yeah.
None of them are literary.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what, number 6?
This should be
Wait,
number
hold on.
6.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't have this book with me because Mama's reading it right now. But it's The Giver.
Oh yes. So good.
I I really like this book. It is so weird. And if you like go into it blind like I did having no idea what it was about,
Yeah.
I was just like so confused the whole time. But I thought it was a really good book.
Yeah.
And I had just read the book, so I wanted to watch the movie the other night just to see how it was, and that was the worst movie I've ever seen. Like
Oh.
worst movie. the worst
Is
movie
that the one?
adaptation of a
Is
book.
that the one that had Taylor
Yeah.
Swift?
Yes, it is. I didn't know that.
That's so funny.
She was very young.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I read The Giver. It's so good.
It is. It is really good. She's a
Mhm.
really good writer. I
Oh yeah.
have the other 3 books in that series right here.
Yeah.
I
Have
just
you
don't
read them?
have the first one because Mom was reading it. No, I have not. I
Okay.
just read the first one.
Okay. Well, the rest of the series is really good. It ends on a very good note.
Yeah, I'm excited for the last one, The Sun, because I know it's about Gabriel.
Yeah. Good old Gabe. So yeah,
Yep.
Giver's awesome. Loved that one for a
Yes,
long
I really
time.
liked it.
Yeah. Alrighty. What are you doing? Sorry, my cat's being weird. Okay, number 6. Another book in a series, but this one had to be ordered differently because for me, did it just go in front of the camera? It's pretty thick. Okay, nobody can see it. All right, but it had to be ordered differently because this one it's less like Artemis Fowl and Morgan Crow were kind of like consistent levels of good. This one, I feel like it does get better as it goes. And it's kind of hard to explain. Like, it's not like I've never thought it was like bad. It's just a different style of writing than I'm usually used to. But the story is great and the characters are amazing. So if I had to pick one in the series, it would be the most recent one that I've read. And so I'm talking about the 8th installment of the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. It is called Legacy. And look at this thick, giant book. It took me so
That's a
long.
big book.
How many pages does it have? Because the longest book I've ever read is still Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, but this one came really close. Well, maybe not this one. There's a different one, but this one came pretty close. But yeah, so Keeper of the Lost Cities is a really great series. Another pretty classic fantasy something. It's about a girl named Sophie who discovers she's had telekinesis, or not telekinesis, telepathy, like reading people's minds. And she's had it for a long time. She discovers that it's because she's an elf and she gets taken, not taken in a creepy way, but like taken to see the elf world by this dude named Fitz. And she meets all these people and she's another chosen one, so they have to go stop the bad guys. It's really interesting. I don't want to give away too much because you should just go read it. It's very interesting, and the main great thing about this is the characters. The characters are very much written very well, and their relationships are great. And they manage to have a love triangle that is not annoying, which is incredible because like that is very hard thing to do. But yeah, the main girl Sophie and then her two friends Fitz and Keith are like a huge fan base war. If you ship Keith and Sophie, it's called Foster Keith because that's what he calls them when they team up. And if it's Fitz and Sophie, it's just So Fitz because ship names. But it's a big important thing, and it's not the most annoying thing in the world. And just like the stories are really good, the twists are great in this book. That's why like I don't want to give a lot away because if you miss out on the twist, you miss out on a lot. Because I was not spoiled for any of these twists, which is so rare in anything. So like I got to genuinely experience them, and they're really good. Uh, but yeah, this is just the most recent one in the series, and I think they get better as they go. So yeah, Legacy is my number 6.
I Yeah, I've heard of that series. I've actually seen it at the bookstore,
Yeah,
but I've never read it.
yeah, it's good.
Okay, so number 5.
Yes.
I have to preface this book, or however you say that word, with okay. I listened to this as an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
It I know there's a TV series about this, and it's a bad series. Like I wouldn't be allowed to watch it.
Okay.
But I've I've heard a bunch of reviews that say that the book is actually nothing like the show, and it
Okay.
is completely YA and completely
Okay.
clean and no language or anything.
Okay.
So I was gonna try it and just
Mm-hmm.
like listen to it a little bit because it was free and
Yeah.
just see how it was. So I listened to the whole thing, and there was literally nothing bad in it, and it was just a fun little thing that I didn't really have to pay attention to. And
Yeah.
it is The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Oh, okay.
It's and it was good. It was fun. It was funny and
Yeah.
sad. I just
Definitely
listened to
heard
it
of
on audiobook. Yeah, it's not nothing close to what the show is.
it. Okay. Well, that's
Like
good.
this book was written for kids.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was
That's
not written to be bad.
So what is it about?
No,
Because I don't know. Because I've only seen like trailers.
it's about this girl who she goes to a summer house with her mom. Like her mom and her brother go to a summer house. Their mom's best friend and her 2 sons.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to the summer house every year. And she's like 16, I think. This the summer that the book is set in,
Yeah.
and it like goes between the summers before and then back to the present.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the summer she turned pretty, literally. Like she thinks she got pretty this summer,
Mm-hmm.
and now her best friends don't, like you said in that other book, it's not, but her best friends, like her guy friends, don't see her as friends anymore, and they
Mm-hmm.
all fall in love with her, and she's in love with one of them. So I think
Okay.
it is a love triangle, like you said, but I don't know because there's 3 books, and that was the first one.
Okay.
It's right in the middle there because it was really fun and easy to listen to, I guess, but I just didn't have to pay too much attention to it,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm glad that the book was clean and
Yeah.
there's no cussing in it because the show's like really popular, but I'm not gonna watch that because it's like rated TVMA.
Yeah. That sucks. But yeah, I've definitely heard of it.
I'm mad that
But
they did that.
yeah, I have nothing. I've no idea. I had no idea
I mean,
about what it was about.
yeah, it has no like substance to it. It's just a fun little like book to read just to
Yeah.
pass the time.
Sure.
I listened to it while we were cleaning.
Yeah. No problem with that. So cool. Okay. My number 5. This is where I snuck the comic book in because it is just too good not to include. It's unfortunate that I haven't been able to talk about this on my podcast. It just doesn't. Um, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know how I would make a good episode about it because it's like an actually older comic and it's not a part of a big series and it's not a part of characters history that I really like. It is a little bit, but not mainly. So it'd be hard to like give an actual review. It kind of be out of place. But here I can talk about it because it is genuinely out of like all of the comics and like novels that I've read. It's like one of the best things that I have ever read. But it's a little comic called It's called Batman Bruce Wayne, murderer question mark. So it's it is about basically it's pretty much what it sounds like. So Batman
Murderer?
murderer question mark. Um so Bruce Wayne is chilling with this girl, right? Maybe hanging out with her, being a little more than friends, And she gets murdered because that's what happens when you date Batman. And so he finds her murdered as Bruce Wayne, and he, like the police come and everything happens, and he's the only one there, and so he gets framed for her murder, and he gets like a trial, and everything happens, and he gets thrown to jail, and he just like it messes up his whole life, and it is so interesting for what it does with his whole character because it's like a really sad storyline, but basically what it does to him is he says, like, I'm not going to be Bruce Wayne at all anymore. Bruce Wayne doesn't exist. There's only Batman. And he just goes and tries to forget his, normal life entirely because, like, he's just angry, very angry. And it's done really well. And then after he, like, breaks out of jail and is, not being Bruce Wayne anymore, There's another series after this called Bruce Wayne Fugitive, and his family has to go and like get him back to having a normal life, kind of. So it's very very
Kind
well
of.
written. Yeah, I mean as normal as Batman's life could be, but it's so well written. It does so well with all the characters. So interesting for Batman, even as somebody who's like, Batman is not. I wouldn't say like he's one of my favorite characters. It's just like so interesting, and it is a big part of like his family's history. The Bat fam gets a lot of moments here, so it's great. It's definitely well, seeing as it is on my top 10 list of books, it is probably like the most well written
Obviously.
comic I've ever read. So yeah.
Well, if those books or comics or whatever are not turned into movies, I've probably never heard of it.
Yeah, I doubt they've
What
been
is?
adapted.
Yeah, that would be cool though.
It would. So I don't know. Whatever's gonna happen in the new DCU, we don't even know. But who knows?
Who knows? Okay, so this is number 4, right?
This should be number 4. Yep.
I keep getting confused.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is a book that I am in the middle of, or quarter of a way through it.
Sure.
But it is the second book in a series that I've obviously already started.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I like it so far. When I read the first few chapters of this book, it was like a relief because of the first book. But
Okay.
it was I like it so far. It's just more character building, and I can't say a lot because a lot of what this book is would be a giant spoiler for the first one.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but I will tell you what this is about when I tell you what the first one's about. But it's called An Echo in the Darkness by Francine Rivers. And then there's the second
Okay.
book in the Mark of the Lion series.
Yep. I remember you telling me about this.
Yes. I really, really love the first book.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second one. Okay. Your turn.
Okay. Okay, I don't have a copy of this one. Sadly, I know my dad has. I feel like my dad has 2 copies, but I couldn't find either one of them. And he would be livid that this is outside of my top 3, but it is what it is. So at number 4, I've put the book. I'm like literally checking to see if he's like listening, but I'm gonna be brave and say that I put the book To Kill a Mockingbird at number 4. Now, like I'm not trying to say anything bad about this book by putting it at number 4. There are just some that I like more than it, because obviously this is on my top 10, so I really really love this book, and it's kind of incredible that it even made my top 10 because, like you were saying, it was a book I had to read for school, so that just like chops points off immediately. But
I know, because you don't get to read it on your own time.
exactly. But
And enjoy it.
a big testament to how much I liked this book is the fact that it was one of the books for school that I actually finished. Uh, so, that's a big plus. And I probably would have read it anyway, without being told to, because it is like one of my dad's favorite of all time. Like, would definitely be in his top 3. And it's like, so I probably would have read it anyway. But definitely an older book, which is also crazy because I don't like older books usually at all. But it's about a girl named Scout Finch who is an awesome character. She's little spunky girl who likes to punch people and has anger issues. So she's fun. And her family is her and her brother Jeb, I believe, and her dad Atticus. And her dad is a lawyer, and it's mostly about him working on this case with a man who's been accused of some mature themed things, and it's very deep, and like it's about racism. It's about all these different things, and it gets very deep, and it's done super well, and the characters are great. And we watched. Well, I did watch a movie with this. We watched like all of the movies to go with our books with our class. Um, and so we watched the movie of this, and it was hilarious because it was an old movie, and there were just
I
some
didn't know that was movies.
super funny moments because it was so old. But the book is great.
I've heard of that book. I haven't read it. I know we own it. I
Yeah.
just saw it the other day, but I have never read it.
Yeah.
I probably should. Mama probably wants me to.
Yeah.
She likes it.
It's a good one.
Okay, we're in the top 3 now, right?
Top 3, getting to the podium. Well, we're on the podium.
All 3 of these books are by the same author. Actually,
Ooh.
all 4 of like my top 4 are all by the same author.
Okay.
But anyways, I guess you can guess my favorite author.
I guess I can.
But my number 3 is it's a book about this woman who it's actually got it switches timelines. One timeline is from the Oregon Trail, a girl in the Oregon Trail or a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know if she's an adult. I can't remember how she starts off,
Mm-hmm.
but um, and the other woman is one of her relatives, like obviously in the future.
Yeah.
And she lives somewhere in California, I think. And she lives next close to her mother, and like she has a really good relationship with her mother. And then they move her husband for his job. They move away,
Yeah.
like far away from her parents, and she's up. She doesn't want to leave. She's upset. Like she's mad at her husband. And then they get there. They're poor, and then he starts being more like he's more distant because he's got to do more work. And then he starts becoming more and more successful, and so they get like rich and stuff. And then he cheats on her
Oh.
with someone he works with, and it's like whatever. It is like about their reconciliation and stuff after that.
Oh. Okay.
And yeah, I really love this book. It's a Christian book. It's The
Mm-hmm.
Scarlet Thread by Francine Rivers.
Okay.
It's a really good it's a really good book. I think I spoiled the whole book, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But I really liked
I
it.
know Francine Rivers. And like I've heard of a ton of her books. That one I haven't actually heard of. We have a lot of her books in our library, so I would have heard of some of them. That I haven't seen that one around, but
I don't even know what to say about it because this book and the book that is next, my top 2,
yeah.
is almost exactly the same. It's just different characters. Same trope.
It do be like that sometimes, but it's okay. All right.
Mama just made me not have words anymore. Just confused me.
At number 3, I kind of went back a little bit for this one. This is one I've reread several times, and always loved every time I've read it. Just like this, such an interesting concept, and like done well too. Like not, it was interesting, and they didn't ruin it in the actual book. But this is a super reliable author, so I would never have expected it. But he's just a really great author. Like everything he writes is basically great. So this book is called Restart by Gordon Corman, and it is so interesting. The concept is so interesting. It's about this guy, what's his name, Chase. Yeah, Chase. And he's like a school bully, typical jerky jock, and he falls off his roof and gets amnesia and completely forgets that he was a bully. And so it's like he has a second chance to start over, and he has to learn that like all of the terrible things he's done, and he has to learn how he's like ruined people's lives at his school and try to make friends and make up for it. And he also like has to go through, he's like wondering if he's like supposed to be a bully, like wanting to go back to that, and like has to decide if he actually wants to start over. So it's really, really interesting. Great characters, great story. I would recommend it, as I would all of these, but I would recommend it to anybody who just like it's a young adult realistic fiction, just one and done, not a series book. It's a lot like, Momentous Events in Life of Cactus. So very much would recommend this, or and like anything else by Gordon Corman also, because he's really good. Basically all of his books are that type of book, YA, realistic fiction, one off, I guess. He has a really great series. I'm pretty sure this is his series, called Masterminds, that I thought of as I was making this list, but I couldn't put it on there because I never finished it, and it's been forever since I read those. But yeah, he's great.
We're in the top 2 now.
Top 2, getting down.
This book I read, honestly, I can't remember if it was the beginning of 2024 or during 2023.
Okay.
I really don't remember, but it's called And the Shofar Blue. This is a really old book. And it's by Francine Rivers, of course.
What
and
is a shofar?
It is a horn, I think. I think it was a horn in, like, Jerusalem and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it's called that. It mentions that, like, when the wife is struggling with something, she's like praying. You see her praying, and it she quotes that verse.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like a shofar blowing or whatever.
Okay.
But it is about there's this really small town church, and this guy, I think he's coming straight out of seminary, and him and his wife and their like 5-year-old son are moving to this church that's dying, and their pastor just retired and moved away because to go be by his grandkids, I think. And so they moved. His father, the pastor's father, is a big time. He's a mega church pastor. Like, he's not a good dude. I don't like him. And but it's about him. Him and his wife go to a church, and it like blows up. It gets huge. Like, they have to build new facilities and everything because how big it gets.
Okay.
And it's from the perspective of like 4 or 5 people, but it's mainly the couple's perspective. And it's like he's starting becoming. The wife is very like she's supposed to be a good Christian woman, and very Christ-centered and stuff. And when he starts, the bigger the church gets, the more he's worried about people getting offended and stuff, and it just starts not preaching the Bible anymore, preaching what people want to hear. And she's like really sad. It's about her. It's a lot about her struggling through trying to help him, and he doesn't want to listen to her. And then he's never home. And then their son starts acting out at school and stuff because he like calls his father a hypocrite and stuff. It's just a really hard home life for them.
Yeah.
And then something bad happens in the book. And then after that, it's about fixing that or reconciliation, I would say. I don't know how to say this, let's spoil it. But I really love this book. It was I related to it, not in the fact that like that would ever happen, or that I'm at a mega church or something, but it's just like the pastor and you understand things that go on in the church.
Yeah. So, that sounds very interesting.
I really, really love this book.
I haven't ever heard of it.
You should read it.
Yeah.
I think everyone should read it.
I really
this book
have not gotten into like Christian fiction, and I feel like I should.
This was the first. I just realized I didn't read the epilogue to this book. Whoops. Well, this book is 500 pages long. I
Nice.
started it and got like 4 chapters in and completely forgot I was reading it.
Yep.
And then I picked it up later and read it in like 2 days.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
like the exact same thing with this. I read this whole book in 2 days because
Yeah.
it was that good.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's kind of fun.
I really, really love that book.
Yeah. All right. Sounds interesting. Alrighty. So my number 2 might look familiar. Well, not look, because we should have a copy, but I couldn't find it. So it won't look familiar, but it might sound familiar. We might have even mentioned it on this very episode earlier. So mine's a little bit higher than it was on yours, but my number 2
we have the same
favorite book in all of the books is The Giver.
Oh.
So we should have a copy. I don't know where it is. But yeah,
we have 2, and I don't know where either of them are.
I technically read this for school. I almost feel like I read it before school. But like it's another one of those like To Kill a Mockingbird. Like I was going to read it anyway because my dad loves this one too. And after I read it for school, I read it again, and then I read the whole series. But the first one's definitely still my favorite because I've read it the most, and I read it first and all those things. But like, it's so interesting. Like, it's such an interesting concept that like is not similar to anything else. I mean, like similar, yes, but like it's just so different than like all of the books. The plot is so well thought out.
It is definitely different.
I don't know if this is true, but I think that like a lot of it is allegory. Like I've heard that a lot of it is like allegory for stuff like how if there's twins, like they'll send one baby to the
elsewhere.
And
no
like
spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. But the elsewhere and stuff was like I've heard that like she was kind of that was like an allegory for like abortion. So that's like really deep, and so a lot of it is like already deep on the surface, and like I think it might go even deeper than like just being a deep concept. It might like actually really be about real stuff in the real world, but also it's just as a story it's really nice, and it is just really fun to read. It's like, again, it's just on its own. It's really without any allegory. It's just really deep and really sad at points, but just done so well. And like all the characters are great, and just the concept is incredible. So I love it.
It's also really short and easy to read.
Yep.
But when I read the part about the babies doing it elsewhere, that made me like so angry. That specific part, just I guess because these days and times, someone might read that and be like, "Oh, that's terrible," but then they'll go and say abortion is fine.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing.
It's crazy.
It's literally the same thing. Maybe. Am I my number 1?
Yeah, we're all the way at the top.
Oh wow!
Your favorite book ever?
This book is a thickie.
It's a thickie. Nice.
It is 496 pages.
All right.
Nice and floppy.
Nice and what?
Floppy.
Floppy. Gotcha.
Yes. That's an important factor.
Yes.
Okay, anyways. This book, I can't even describe it. Because literally, I described it to you in detail a couple weeks ago, but that was before I finished it.
Oh.
Anyways, it is like my favorite book literally ever, and that's why it's number 1.
Indeed.
So this is the first book in the series I was talking about, where the second book was my number 4, but
Okay.
so it's about this slave girl named Hadassah. She gets like it's about Jerusalem
Mm-hmm.
getting it's like a couple I think like it's like a decade or two after Jesus died. It's
Okay.
obviously fiction. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not meant to be for real. But
Yeah.
it's like when Jerusalem was destroyed and stuff by Titus, she in the book, she becomes a slave, a
Mm-hmm.
Roman slave, and she gets bought by this like high up Roman family. Like he's not like in the government or anything. He's just a very very rich man because he
Mm-hmm.
like does trading and stuff on boats.
Yeah.
And it's just about her being their slave. She's actually the master's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She's her slave, her personal slave,
Okay.
and it's just about her trying to like she's a Christian. She's not a Jew.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to minister to that family, but also she's scared
Yeah.
because Christians were like crucified and
Yeah.
set to lions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that that day, but so she's really scared to say that. And then this book also has it's really deep topics. One main part is it's actually not a main part. Mama doesn't think it's a main part, but it was a main part to me. Is she is falling in love with her master's son, Marcus,
Okay.
and he is falling in love with her too. So
Okay.
it's
That's
about
always
them.
good.
It's like talking about what real love is, not just
Mm-hmm.
oh feely stuff like that. But
Yeah.
because he talks about because he's not a Christian, he's a
Okay.
Roman, and so he talks about how what he feels for her is he doesn't understand it because she's not very pretty. She's not like
Oh,
outstandingly pretty or anything. They actually
right.
call her ugly a bunch of times because
Yeah.
she had to shave her head. They shaved her head because she was a slave,
Mm.
like when they sold her. And I forgot what I was saying, but yeah, he doesn't know why. He said he's never felt like this for anyone. Like he doesn't know what it is
Yeah.
because he thinks he already knows what love is,
Yeah.
but he doesn't. And she is in love with him, but she has to like. It's about her resisting temptation and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good book. It's got really good themes and stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
got abortion in it, and it's got infanticide too, like
Okay.
both.
Yeah.
And it is okay. I need to tell you, I'm not gonna spoil them. I'm gonna tell you my reaction at the end of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed up pretty late because I was almost finished and I had to finish it. Based like what was happening, I had to get done.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on my bed and I was reading it, and then I finished it. I just closed the book and I was like, and then I walked up to Mama and I was just bawling. And I could not make myself stop. I did not know why. And I literally walked up to Mom, was like Molly said, it's just a book. And Mama started laughing, and she goes, I don't know what to do right now, cause Mama said she probably had the same reaction when she read it,
Mm-hmm.
but she said I don't know whether to comfort you or make fun of you. That's what she said to me. So but obviously it's sad because I was literally bawling, and I don't do that over books and movies and stuff like that. I
Right.
do not cry.
Yeah. That's why, like,
It
I'm the
definitely
same
got
way,
to me.
and that's like when something like that does happen, it's like you remember it. You remember it. It like stands out
Yes,
in your brain.
I will never forget the ending to this book.
Yeah. If
But like
you're
I
not,
said, I'm not.
yeah, if you're not a crier, it's just like you remember when something just like forces you to cry, because like there are people in the movie like that just like cry very easily, and like if there's anything sad, they just like naturally are criers. But like
Yeah,
when people like us
I
who
am
are not
definitely not
criers,
that.
like we have to be forced to cry. Like something has to hit hard, so it's like it sticks in your brain. So yeah, I get that. Okay. So,
Man, that's so. But yeah, it is the first book in the Mark of the Lion series. Saw a voice in the wind if I didn't say that already. Shut up. Shut up. You can't say that. Sorry. But that is my favorite book ever.
all right. Now, for my favorite book ever, it has been my favorite book ever since I read it. Nothing has ever topped it. I've read great books, obviously. I think every single book, I won't say every single, but almost every single book on the list was after I read this book, and they're all amazing books. But nothing has ever topped this book for me. I just read it and just it's so good. It's another part of the series, and this has always been my favorite book in the series. Every time somebody asks me, what is your favorite book? I have hard times with what is your favorite questions. But book, what's your favorite book has been such an easy question for such a long time. So my favorite book of all time, as it has been for since like the 5th grade, is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So
I could have guessed that a million times.
obviously, it was gonna be a Harry Potter book,
One of them.
right? I mean, I'm a big Potterhead. Like we haven't done that many episodes Harry Potter on this pod, but we have a few times. And like the one like main Harry Potter episode had to be split into 2 episodes because I really love this series. It's just a really great series. It's the staple YA fantasy series, and it is for a reason. It's great. I don't know what new information I'm gonna give you on how great Harry Potter is, but I can tell you that this one is my favorite for a lot of reasons. This kind of pushed, it pushed Luna Lovegood into the spotlight, and she's one of my favorite characters in anything ever. Deeply relatable. The plot is so intricate and deep and wonderful, and just I feel like there's no spoilers for Harry Potter, but just for the sake, if somebody happens to have not read Harry Potter, I won't say, but like the death that does happen in the end is one of the saddest things I've ever read, knowing that it was going to happen. Somebody spoiled all of the deaths in Harry Potter for me, except for one. And so I knew
That's so
every
sad.
I know. I knew every single death that was coming, including this one, but still, like, it hit different. I didn't cry because, again, I knew it was coming. So, like, there was a significant part of that was taken away from me, but it still was written very well. And there's just a lot that happens. It's so important to the series and the characters. And it's also still the longest book I've ever read at 870 pages.
Oh dang.
It's amazing. Like it's my favorite book ever in the entire world. Harry Potter and Order.
I kind of had a little bit of spoilers in this one because I was like, oh, I had like 50 pages left, and Mom was like, "You're not going to be able to handle it. You just need to stop reading it. You just need to put it down." And I'm like I'm gonna do that when you say
that. Right.
But yes, this is my top 10 books, even though the one at the bottom is Garbage Fire.
Garbage Fire.
Because it's the top 10 books. It's literally rating the books I can remember that I've read.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at remembering stuff far back.
This is mine.
I'm trying to read a lot more. I have a whole TBR thing up there, and a whole bookshelf full of books I haven't read. I have like 6 books under the camera that I haven't read yet.
I have an online TBR list, but
I did too.
That's money.
I would just have them as, yeah. I tried to make my TBR based on what the books I already have.
Yeah.
One of mine is I'm trying to read the entire Lord of the Rings and Hobbit this year.
That's a big task.
Yeah. I'm excited though because I love the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I know your family's big on that.
Oh yeah. It's a tradition stuff.
Oh yeah. So, with that said, that is our favorite books. Now you guys know that I do read things occasionally.
No, you're literate.
I am literate. It's crazy.
I almost said you're illiterate.
I learned it from watching movie captions, but so
yes, that is how homeschoolers learn to read, guys.
Exactly. That is true.
That's exactly how.
Yep. All right. So that's our lists. Thank you for being on the podcast. This was a very fun topic that I don't talk about a lot. So thank you.
It's the only topic I can think of.
Yeah. But it's great. It went great.
Actually, I had to, but
yeah.
Also, in Unspoken is the Bible. It's our favorite book ever.
Yes. But like, thank you for saying that. I was gonna forget to say that. Yes.
Mama, I was talking to Mama about my list, and she was like, obviously the Bible's at number 1, and I was like, that's an Unspoken.
Yes. Obviously.
That's number, as Ava would say, that's number 0.
That's number 0, exactly. Her system works perfectly. Number 0, the Bible.
Yes.
But yeah. So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and comment and share and subscribe and follow and do this stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.